You got one thing on your mind, and it's TikToks and YouTube Shorts.
Bro, I swear that's been my daily thing. Literally all day long.
Yeah,
all I
you
think about is
do
clips.
it on the treadmill.
Bro, I'm on the treadmill for real.
Welcome back to the Pitlane Pals podcast. I was going to start this episode by saying we had the Singapore Grand Prix this last weekend or earlier today, but we have fucked up the recording twice. So as a result, we're just going to make this a general podcast episode. We're going to talk a little about the Singapore Grand Prix, mostly what's coming up soon because it's a little too late and we've also talked about the Singapore Grand Prix in entirety 2 times. And I think we might be running out of things to say. Yeah. So I'm going to change the topics up a little bit. However, I am still going to lead with the fact that Daniel Ricciardo has been officially dropped by the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. I'm never going to call them VCARB. I'm going to always stretch out how stupid their name sounds.
Yeah.
But Daniel Ricciardo has been parted ways effective immediately and replaced by the young talent Liam Lawson. I'm excited to see Liam Lawson come in this year. He does have a 10 pace grid penalty this first race, so
actually,
he has a 10 pace grid penalty for an engine swap that they're doing this weekend. Helmut Marko said that this is not a fair assessment of his performance because of that, because it's not his fault. But if he, I guess it gives him a chance. It's like a risk-free race.
If he qualifies
some
pole,
experience,
he's gonna start P10, which is, you know.
Yeah, but it's also, you gotta think about it this way. So like, if he starts P20, he has nothing to lose.
True.
He could qualify wherever. We'll probably end up P20 anyways because he's not probably gonna get into the top 10. I mean, he could, but I doubt it. Who knows? But it is still a Visa Cash App Racing Bull.
You know what's funny about that? I literally saw an Instagram account, like I think actually was today, which is purely around bullying the Visa Cash App team to put their name back into Toro Rosso.
Wait, like a whole Instagram account dedicated purely for that?
Yeah. It's the funniest thing ever. They make like some really really funny edits about like how the name is terrible and how like life was good, and then the Visa Cash App name change happened. So it's really really funny.
That's really funny. Peer pressure him into it because Jesus Christ,
what a
it's
name.
bad.
It's terrible.
It's really bad. Yeah, no, it's awful. And Toro Rosso was cool. I actually kind of liked AlphaTauri for the fundamentals that it didn't feel like it was directly, like, obviously it is, but it was a brand in itself, which was kind of cool. Obviously Visa Cash App is, but then you throw Racing Bulls in there. It's like, just call it fucking Red Bull at that point. Whatever. Obviously Toro Rosso is just Italian way of saying Red Bull, no?
I think so. I guess.
I hope I'm not wrong about
Toro
that.
And then Rosso, yeah, like Bull Red.
Okay, Mr. Italian.
Yeah, Mr. Italian over here. We might ask the production team to get some clearance on that.
Ask the production team. Is the production team in the room with you currently?
The production team is not in the room with me currently, but this has been a joke that has been marinating the past 2 podcasts which haven't aired. So it's like
Oh, that's a good point. We've made the production team jokes in episodes that just have not come out. That's really bad. Anyways, Daniel Ricciardo getting dropped for Liam Lawson. I know I do want to touch on the fact that I do think they handled the situation very, very poorly. Fundamentally, obviously he did still have his farewell tour, but they didn't give him the proper ability to be like, this is my last race, I'm going to go out. They didn't give him the ability to do donuts and celebrate it or anything because they never confirmed whether it was his last race or not. And that is weird to me, because regardless, he wasn't great. I do think he deserved to be dropped this year, or at least by the end of the year. But then you're going to drop him effective immediately, and you're not even going to let him know or the world know that it's officially his last race.
That's a bit harsh. It's terrible.
I don't get it either because what do you benefit from not being able to instantly be like, oh, Liam Lawson's our new driver, let's start marketing him?
Yeah, yeah. And like, what was there not decided yet? I can't believe they went into the Singapore GP thinking, oh well, if Ricciardo still finishes P9 or like what P8 or something, he's gonna keep his seat. No way. They probably had already decided that he's gonna be leaving. Ricciardo seemed like he would have
known that.
Yeah, yeah. And Ricciardo, like, I mean, literally, Ricciardo did what he did in Singapore. Stayed late, and a lot of drivers actually came to say goodbye to him. I know Lando came. I know, I think Pierre came as well. But it's like, if the drivers know, why is there no like official statement from the team? Because I feel like it would have just been fair towards him to let him know, okay, you know, we've tried to get there, but like it didn't work out. This is your last weekend. Enjoy it. But afterwards, we're continuing with Lawson.
Yeah, that's all that had to be. And it's funny because it does really prove on like the fundamentals. It's funny, but it's not. People get so into this, their favorite drivers and the, staying with teams and this whole loyalty thing. Christian Horner told the world when Daniel Ricciardo came back that he went through some weird spots the past couple years and now he's back at his family. If that's his family, you give him a proper fucking farewell. I'm sorry, but come on, Christian Horner. Don't. And it's people fall for that shit too, and that's what's annoying is people hear him say that, and they're like, "Oh, thank God he's back with Red Bull," and because McLaren treated him so poorly. They wanted Daniel for the money, dude. They wanted Daniel because he was a producer. Don't get me wrong, produces great content. Love Daniel. But don't, and then you proved that point. My point, right, is that they proved that point by saying nothing and not giving him a proper farewell. If he was properly family, you would have given him a proper farewell this weekend, and you did not.
Yeah.
In other news, Liam Lawson will be replacing Daniel Ricciardo, of course. Now, what I do think is interesting about his contract, and I don't know why they did it this way. I wonder what the reason is. And maybe it's just to be safe, but he only is technically on for the next 6 races.
Did you see like a post about it, or where did you read this? It's
he's there's no seat confirmed for next year.
Oh yeah, true. I think I mean at the end of the day they're just gonna see how he performs, and if he performs like I don't know what Nick DeVries or something, he's gonna get the boot as well.
And like I get that, but like. Is 6 races enough? I don't know.
For some people, yes. For Logan Sargent, no. But I think Red Bull just wants to keep that window open and see how he performs.
I guess, yeah. I just hope we're not too harsh on him, because obviously, Lawson has to not only prove that he's good in the racing department, but good in the marketing department.
I guess. Yeah, true.
At least I think so. And that's obviously just conspiracy. I can't say that for sure. But at the end of the day, that's what Daniel Ricciardo, I do believe, was able to stay there for so long for. And if they're getting rid of Daniel, they're gonna want somebody to fill that void in that department. So.
No, you're probably right. You're probably right.
He has to be right. Good in both areas.
I mean, I think he's definitely filling big shoes because he's not going to be the second Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, he's also Kiwi. Actually, no, he's from New Zealand, no?
New Zealand, but isn't New Zealand what we call Kiwi?
Kiwi, I think. I guess. Oh God, production team.
Keep talking.
Production team needs to look into it.
Production team's looking into it.
He's definitely not going to be as good as Ricciardo in marketing, but I feel like Red Bull knows that. I feel like they know, okay, new driver. There has been a lot of talk around him, and he's not going to be bringing as much social media covering as Daniel Ricciardo. But I mean, I feel like Liam Lawson's a nice dude. He'll be also very, very marketable.
Yeah. People already like Lawson, so that's a good thing too in his case. Also, I did just look it up. New Zealanders are Kiwi.
Okay, good.
That's the national bird of the.
Oh yeah.
New Yeah, you knew that?
I knew it because McLaren had the Kiwi as
Okay.
a picture, and I know Bruce McLaren was from New Zealand.
From New Zealand. Good point. Okay, my bad. Anyways, but yeah, I look forward to seeing Lawson next year, and we have messed this up before, but we have Jack Doohan, Liam Lawson, Kimi Antonelli, and Oliver Behrman all for next year. And that is a very, very promising young lineup of drivers. I got it. I can speak English.
You got heavily cooked for that
for next year.
It was so funny as we posted the Doohan video. Like it just, I mean, the views went really well, and then suddenly like 5 comments.
We didn't even get like a ton of comments in general. Obviously, we're still smaller, but we had like 9 comments specifically shitting on me for forgetting Jack Doohan, which 100%. I deserved that. I deserved that fully. My bad. But yeah, I am excited to see all those guys come in next year, because I think obviously last year we had no driver changes at all. So this year being a complete on the opposite end of the spectrum, we got Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari, all these rookies coming in, Carlos Sainz to Williams, and all these crazy moves, and I'm excited to see how that all changes up next year. I think it'll be really exciting. On that driver move topic, Sergio Perez was rumored to almost be retiring at the end of the year, or announce his retirement in Mexico in a couple weekends. Did you see how he denied that?
I think he posted like a video or something.
Posted the video from Wolf of Wall Street, where he's like, "I'm not leaving."
Yeah.
And just posted that with nothing else, and like some laughing emojis, maybe. I think so. I think that was pretty. It was a funny way to address
That's pretty funny.
The topic at hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think it's funny. Everyone's like, "Oh, with his future in in the air," and he just like, "Oh, here. No, I'm not leaving." And I was like, "Okay." So I'm assuming he'll still be Red Bull's driver next year. But
it's gonna be exciting. You know what I'm excited for? Safety cars, bro. Oh my god.
Oh, the rookies. The rookies are really gonna spice things up a little bit with the safety cars.
For real. I mean, like,
I'm looking forward.
I'm not saying Doohan's gonna do bad. I'm saying of the people coming in, Doohan is definitely the one who's least like hyped up, and I feel like in an Alpine, it's gonna be rough. But at the same time, Behrman has Esteban Ocon as a teammate, so it's like, Yeah,
that's a rough thing to have coming into the. Not to shit on Esteban Ocon too hard.
It's a hard start,
but that's a rough way to start with Esteban Ocon as your teammate. I mean, he's pissed off his own teammates every time, and he's also managed to piss off people who aren't even his teammates.
I feel like Esteban Ocon's race clips are just like perfectly matched with like Jeremy Clarkson talking about how if I were to look at that parking space, I were to go, that's very small. But that's not what a French person would do. And then you just see Ocon absolutely sending it into some gap that just does not fit. And most of the time it's actually his teammate. So it's like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's dude. He goes for the gap. You know what? I think every time he sees a gap on a racetrack, he plays that clip of Ayrton Senna talking about, if you no longer go for the gap, you're no longer a racing driver. I think that is like what plays in Esteban Ocon's head on repeat for any move, whether it's for P18 to P17 or P2 to P1, which doesn't happen very often, but still.
Maybe next year. Maybe Haas is going to be a rocket ship, bro. Who knows? We never really know until.
Considering Oliver Behrman just beat Nico Hülkenberg,
yeah,
I would take Oliver Behrman over Esteban Ocon.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a bit like it's too harsh. But I feel like it's I have to say it now. I have to say it. It's like Fernando Alonso over Stroll. But like obviously Behrman doesn't have as much experience, I'm just saying Ocon is not that quick. And I feel like Behrman has shown a lot of promising pace.
Alonso to Stroll is a big difference in
It
my
is a big
opinion
difference.
because Alonso is one of the greatest drivers of the past couple decades, maybe 3 now, or he's at this point maybe 5 decades. No, but over the past 20 some years in Formula 1, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
He's been that guy. I mean, obviously he hasn't had the success that he had early in his career, but that's not really his fault. He's still been a fantastic driver. Comparing that to Lance Stroll, on the other hand, who's just Lance Stroll, versus Oliver Behrman, who's a rookie, and then Esteban Ocon, who's
Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, Esteban Ocon. So I don't think it's quite the same, but I get what you're saying. But I think it's a bit of a stretch.
That's why I said as a disclamation, as a disclaimer, it's a very, very harsh comparison. Obviously. Yeah.
On top of that, I did notice something funny was that on the Alpine conversation, I guess, because Esteban is currently an Alpine driver.
Yeah.
Renault confirmed it will not build power units in 2026.
Thank God.
And Alpine will be forced to buy their engine, and they're in talks with Mercedes, which makes sense. I think I'm always a big thing, though, where I think that at least the car manufacturers on the grid should make their own engines. I always like more engines being made themselves. I don't even like that about McLaren, that they don't make their own engine. I don't like that about Aston Martin, that they don't make their own engine. I know they're going to have a Honda engine, but I think more diversity in the engine suppliers is better because it allows for more diversity in the types of cars that we have. And I know Renault sucks at making an engine. I do understand that. But I just don't like seeing stuff like this go in that direction where we're just more catered towards buying the engines. I like to see more of it go the other way. I don't understand why McLaren does not make their own engine.
I think it's just a matter of cost. It's just not worth it.
Sure,
I feel like especially with
been in Formula 1 for so long.
Sure, but like a few years ago they were struggling to keep it up. Like McLaren was struggling financially.
But not like they were ever going to leave.
No, I know, but McLaren was struggling financially, and like the production team has to look this up.
They've been buying off teams forever.
No, I know. The production team has to look this up, but like I think the cost of actually building your own engine, and then to maybe not even pay off, like you have the Alpine. I mean, the Alpine is a fucking tractor. It's just too much.
Of course, it costs a lot of resources to make your own engine. I get it, but I will say, you get the benefit of being able to build your car around your engine.
Yeah, but then you can see with the Alpine that like it respectfully doesn't matter as much because the Alpine is not that quick.
Yeah, never has been.
Never has been, but it's like it's also.
I don't know.
I feel like it's okay because if let's say if they were all to have to build their own engine, like every single team in F1, you would have maybe 2 teams who got it spot on, and then it's just gonna get like worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, you know. And then you're probably also going to be having people that copy the engine ideas of the others. It would just be a mess. And with having engine,
that could already happen.
No, I know. But like having the main engine suppliers, it's like more like, okay, at least 4 teams or something are going to be performing somewhat good. There's still a difference between a Merc and a Williams, and there's a difference between a McLaren and a Williams right now. So it's like the engine is not the whole bit, you know?
No, of course not. But I guess it's just those things where it's like, oh, McLaren won the F1 championship with a Mercedes engine?
Yeah, but like,
you know?
Yeah, I get that. But then do you support with the Red Bull? Because like Red Bull has like Honda, and then there's going to be Ford, you know?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I think at least the car manufacturers should do it.
What about Red Bull? Red Bull's not a car manufacturer.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that I think that at least the car manufacturers should make their own engines. Then the ones that aren't, such as Haas or a Red Bull or a Williams, can buy. Now, I would prefer if maybe they bought off their own companies, but there's only so many companies and not that many want to get involved in Formula One. So, of course, I wouldn't actually say that's logical. But I don't know. I feel like if you're making a car in Formula One, you make cars. You are McLaren. You are Aston Martin. I don't know. Why can't you make your own engine? I'm sure there's a ton of logistics behind it that I do not understand, and I'm not trying to say that it will ever change because it never will. But my point is that I don't like seeing less engines. I like more diversity in that regard, and I'd rather have more than less.
Fair. I do get that.
Because we're gonna have what? Mercedes, Honda at Aston Martin, Ford at Red Bull, Ferrari, and then Audi.
5 is nice for 10 teams.
I agree, but we could have had 6.
Bro
Granted,
wants
I
it
know
all.
this probably gives. I know, granted, this probably means that Alpine has a better chance than they probably would have with their own engine because they kind of suck at the engine thing, which is surprising because they've been working on that for so long. But they also had this 100 race plan and that never happened. They do a lot of things. They overcommit, I think.
they overcommit. They overcommit. That's crazy.
I kind of miss the Renault car.
Huh?
I kind of miss the Renault car sometimes.
The Renault car, bro. There's the Renault testing livery, where they used mostly black and just yellow accents, is so beautiful. I miss it. I miss the old cars. I know a lot of people hate on this.
Me too.
But the chunkier they were with the actually like nice and like straight back wing and the nice straight and front wing. God, dude, they look pretty. F1, the 2026 car,
like way older F1 cars.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Now looks a little cartoony.
Yeah,
in a weird way. Like it looks like it's round. It's not as it doesn't look as mean. It looks kind of friendly, and I don't really like that. I also don't like the lack of color diversity on the grid right now either, because everyone wants to fucking throw carbon fiber on their vehicles, and so we have a bunch of predominantly dark cars that already don't have a ton of color diversity. The only one that really stands out anymore is the fucking neon green kick car, which you see on TV for about 2 seconds at the start of the race, and that's it.
I will say to that, funny you say that, because Albon actually talked about this in on his radio. He came into the Singapore pit lane, and he was basically saying that you almost missed the pit box because there were 4 blue teams right in front of their garage.
Yeah,
you have so many shades of blue. Like you have Alpine, Williams, Mercedes.
We're both getting stuck here. Hold on.
This is so embarrassing.
Red Bull.
Exactly. God.
I was just kind of hoping you were gonna fill in.
Yeah,
that
me too.
blank.
Me too. That's why I started kind of.
It's funny because like I knew it was Red Bull, but then I heard red in my head, and I was like, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
Red Bull and they're fucking blue.
Dude, Visa Cash App as well.
Oh shit!
God, we're
This is
so
bullshit.
bad. We're so bad.
Yeah, but they're like, yeah, I forget that. Why do we have no? This is that bullshit though, because we used to have a Pink Panther on the grid, which, as stupid as it kind of looked in my opinion, I kind of missed that.
Me too. It didn't look too stupid. It was still nice.
The bright yellow Renault.
Also very pretty. I will say I really like the Renault. And I really like the Renault Ricciardo era. He was good at Renault.
It's funny because I don't even like the color yellow. But
yeah, it worked.
I think, again, it worked on the grid at the time. And I don't know. It's kind of shitty. Like, I feel like we just have all these shades of blue. At least AlphaTauri was like basically black and white. I mean, they had like a navy, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, talking about teams, there was something at the Singapore GP that happened in the last lap, which a lot of people at the end of the day criticized, because Ricciardo took away the fastest lap from Lando Norris in the last lap. He set a new lap record at the Marina Bay circuit, I think. I'm not sure. I think he did.
Did he really?
I think so, yeah.
That can't be right. Really?
I think so.
Production team? Calling the production team. Yep, calling the production team. Keep talking.
And basically, how RB as a sister team of Red Bull, if they should actually be allowed to help them in the championship. And in my opinion, that's kind of something that you're not going to be able to change, because sister teams have been definitely a thing for quite a while now. And like, the fastest lap isn't obviously a big change, but in the case of Norris, he's only going to be winning the championship if he gets every single fastest lap. And now he's actually not even able to anymore. When Verstappen finishes second every single race, he's not winning the championship. So it's like, to what degree are you allowed as a sister team to help the other team get the championship? You know?
Yeah. Before I respond, he did break the lap record. Just wanted to clarify. What? But you proved me right. I'm sorry.
I know my shit. Come on.
All right. Anyways, so I do agree, honestly, in my opinion, that I think their relationship being like this is too far, in my opinion. But I've thought that for a long time. I don't like the competitive advantage in general of being able to develop your drivers on the grid while everyone else cannot do that. Of course, there's deals made between teams and then stuff like that, which I don't, whatever. That's different, though. No team has two teams.
Yeah.
Besides one, and that feels like a competitive advantage regardless. And now this move to give Daniel the fastest lap, whether it was truly for the sentiment of Daniel Ricciardo's last lap, wanted to put it in the fastest, just like he started. Just, I don't know if that's. No, I'm not saying that his first lap was the fastest, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
It's not. It could have been the sentiment of it. Sure.
No.
Probably not. We didn't even give him a fucking proper send off in the first place. So I really don't think that's the case, and I think it was a competitive move. Personally, I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist. But that's my opinion. Who knows? There's no way to prove it. But I think it's a bit silly, and I think it's one of those things that they're not really hiding it anymore.
No, definitely not.
The relationship.
But I think it's 100%. It was. I mean, I'm gonna back you up on this. I 100% agree with you. This was no sentimental send off. 100% not. No way. This was definitely like, your old buddy Ricciardo's gonna help you, and that's exactly why they went on the radio to Max and was like, "Hey, your old buddy Ricciardo, old buddy Daniel got the fastest lap for you in the end." It's like, all right, happened the way it did. Is it cool? Yeah.
Is there anything we can do about it? Absolutely not. I'm sitting on my ass here. I'm not, call up the FIA real quick, tell them to fix that shit, because they wouldn't do it anyways. Because there is no rule against anything like that, because there was no evidence, I don't think. And so, there's no radio message where they're like, "Hey, Ricciardo, take the fastest lap." You know what I mean? Like, they can't prove that. Yeah. And so it is what it is. But I do think it's shitty, and I think it should definitely I think it should anger the other teams more than it does. And the reason I say that is because Mario Andretti has been trying to create his own Formula One team for the past 2 fucking years, basically. I think, like, consistently putting in applications, and was denied entry for bullshit reasons because of money. But if we're only gonna have 10 teams on the grid, why do we have one of them that's just a fucking junior team? That sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that pisses me off. I feel like we should. If we're gonna keep it to a strict 10 because you guys want your money split up evenly, we're gonna keep one of them as a junior team. It pisses me off, and I wish it pissed the other teams off more, because then maybe they'd do something about it and try to get the FIA to do something. But obviously you can't really, because the team exists as it is. But I do wish that Red Bull would sell it. I really wish they would, and they got close a couple of years ago.
Bro is annoyed.
But I am. I hate it. I think it's a competitive advantage. It's not really fair, and I also think that it sucks because it's not like
I agree with you.
It's not like the team's ever gonna win the championship.
Yeah.
They're never gonna. They might win a race. I mean, Pierre Gasly did it in 2020. 2020, 2020, I think. Yeah, 2020. And that is like cool and whatever, but it's like they're never gonna like win a championship because they're always gonna be worse than Red Bull. And even if they did, it's just then it's like they're just gonna feed all their information over to Red Bull. So it's just another, oh hey, it's like, or even if they had a chance, what I mean is like they would feed their car's information to Red Bull and be like, hey, do this.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it kind of sucks. I know there's nothing we can do about it. I know it's been that way for a very, very long time. But I just think it's kind of unfair.
I feel like as long as there's like no crash gate happening with other team purposely crashed into wall. Funny because it happened in
one day
happened in Singapore, and the last race was Singapore. There's not going to be much done about it, and I don't think the FIA will get involved in any way.
Yeah, it would have to be a more drastic effect than just taking the fastest lap, unfortunately. But it does upset me a little bit.
Talking about
looking
upset.
Forward.
Go
ahead.
Talking about upset.
No, you go ahead.
I go ahead. Okay, all right. Talking about upset. I don't know if you saw this, but this weekend there were like plenty of radio calls of Yuki Tsunoda with his new race engineer, and oh my goodness, this guy, he is loud on the radio, and he got a new race engineer. He's not going to be having an easy job, but like just
Yuki,
the way it happened.
Shut the fuck up.
It's just, oh, dude.
It's annoying. I love Yuki Tsunoda, and I really, really want when Sergio, regardless of saying he's not leaving, did say he doesn't have that much longer in Formula One. Whenever that happens, can we please keep our cool, Yuki, because you could be next up for that seat if you just shut the fuck up on the radio.
He's not going to.
I think Yuki Tsunoda is hilarious. I think he is one of my favorite drivers on the grid. 100%. I've been rooting for him since, specifically heavily rooting for him since Pierre Gasly left that team, because I liked Gasly too. But I was already kind of rooting for him to prove himself against Gasly. I like Yuki. I've liked him since he came into the sport. And he's quick. He's good. He's very good. He consistently kept up with Gasly. I mean, not, more in his second year than his first year, but that makes sense. And then ever since Gasly's left, he's beaten everyone he's gone up against.
Yeah.
Just keep your cool, buddy. Keep your cool. And you could be there. Like, you could be in the big Red Bull suit.
I don't think he's going to be. I don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon. I also saw some German I think it actually was commentators talking about this, how they feel like you should actually rather look for other seats to fill, because like in Red Bull he's not going to be getting his promotion. He's kind of stuck there. So it's like,
that happens to so many VCARB Racing Bulls drivers. They all seem to get stuck in this cycle nowadays, especially lately, where they don't either they get promoted, they don't last very long. Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly. And then ever since then, they haven't promoted anybody. And they just get stuck, and then eventually they leave. But it takes them a while to leave, because I think that Red Bull seat's very enticing.
I think so too. 100%.
Which I get, but I kind of want... I don't know. Like, I think Gasly made a good choice by going to Alpine, even if the team sucks. I think he made a good choice getting out of there and going to Alpine, because at least now it's a proper team, and his fate isn't dependent on Red Bull wanting to promote or demote him or whatever the fuck. He can do his own thing. I think that would work well for Yuki too. I don't know where. That might be a next year conversation.
I think that's going to be it. The years coming up. There's no,
maybe 2026.
Yeah, there's no set place right now where it's like, Yuki, send it.
One thing I did like the idea of, and it won't happen because Fernando Alonso's not going to fucking go anywhere, because he's an old man who just doesn't want to go anywhere.
I swear, this episode, you need to be careful, dude. You're going to get a reprimand. You're gonna get public service if you keep on going like this.
Going like what?
You've got quite the high swear meter this episode.
It's okay. Hopefully TikTok doesn't hate us. You can censor me in the subtitles. Sorry. I'm heated this episode. I don't know why, but it's getting to my head.
I'm going to change every F word to flowers in the subtitles.
Flowers. Here we go. Because Fernando is very, very old. And as much as I love and respect Fernando Alonso, I think if he did retire, the most perfect situation for Yuki Tsunoda could be an Aston Martin. And the reason I say that is because Honda is their engine supplier. And Honda is a Japanese company. And Yuki Tsunoda is a Japanese driver. And unfortunately, it's big business. And that shit does matter. I say unfortunately for the big business part.
Yeah.
Because I think that'd be a great fit too. I think that's also, why I would love to see Lance Stroll go somewhere else outside of the sport. I would love to see Lance Stroll look for a seat in IndyCar.
Nah, I would
not in Formula.
I would love for Lance Stroll to look for a seat in a tennis series. I feel like tennis.
That's right.
Tennis would be a lovely series for him. He picked up a racket and almost asked his papa to invest a few million so he can be a professional tennis player.
I respect it.
Do you?
But yeah. When I'm just trying to encourage it.
Oh, I respect it as well, 100%.
Lance, if you're listening,
Lance,
I think you should pursue your true passion.
Hang up the helmet. It's time for the racket, dude. Come on.
And not because you are a fantastic Formula One driver.
Not really. You were really good at smashing into stuff.
I'm actually just a huge tennis fan.
Yeah, and he was really good at smashing into stuff. So I think he's going to be really, really good at smashing a ball with a racket.
True. We will never, ever, ever, ever be able to build a Canadian fan base with this talk. Live, laugh, love, Nicholas Latifi. Anyways, rest in peace, Nicholas Latifi. But no, if Lance Stroll was to go, or Fernando Alonso was to go, I think Aston could be the perfect seat for Yuki Tsunoda because I think Honda would like to have Yuki Tsunoda specifically.
Yeah.
So,
do you think this is something we actually asked the production team to look up last time, which didn't air? So this is something we might have to talk about again. Do you think there's a tier list of merch ranked by how many pieces sell?
We did talk about this, and I did not find anything officially telling me.
I forgot. Whoops.
Where what the official numbers are, but we did both agree that Lance Stroll has to sell the least amount of merch.
It must be.
Has to.
It must be.
I'm just thinking about it. Okay, beyond
I'm gonna check.
who Lance Stroll is, and in the minimal fan base that he probably has, even if there was a market, unfortunately, Canada's not even the most populated place on the planet. So it's not like that could just carry him. Like I said, Logan Sargent probably sold more than him because America's big. And there's an American market.
Yeah.
Even though he sucked. But Lance Stroll sucks and there's not a big market. So I just don't know if it could be anybody else. I did suggest Valtteri, but because people probably own Valtteri Bottas merch from when he was at Mercedes, maybe that doesn't count.
I will say, ChatGPT is cooking up a tier list right now.
But I don't trust the AI. But
it would be funny. It would be funny to hear what the AI says, because the first few actually do make sense. Number one is Max Verstappen, which I do get because he's a champion. That makes sense. Next is Lewis Hamilton, which also makes sense. Mm-hmm. Charles Leclerc, 100%. Okay. Lando Norris. Oh, they didn't. He didn't do the whole thing. Okay. Either way, Lando Norris, Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso, George Russell.
I would have expected Fernando to be a bit higher.
George Russell, Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, and then further down, drivers like Yuki Tsunoda, Oscar Piastri, Alex Albon, Valtteri Bottas, and then Logan Sargent.
Where's Lance Stroll?
Where would Lance Stroll be?
Did they not even put Lance Stroll on the list?
I think they forgot him. Oh my god.
I don't blame him. I usually shit on AI for a lot of things, but I give it a pass here for fucking up. Got Lance Stroll hate podcast.
The overall interest in Stroll's merchandise is moderate. Driven more by his role in the popular team and his family connection to the ownership rather than individual performance or star power.
AI said that?
Yeah, I said that. I said that. Oh my god. It literally says that the only reason why he makes sales is because of Lawrence Stroll and Aston Martin. That's crazy.
That's insane. I cannot believe he's got cooked by a robot.
That's crazy.
Damn. Maybe AI ain't so bad after all.
Maybe.
I actually don't like AI, but we're not
gonna get into that.
We're not a world philosophy podcast. We just sit down being like, so NASA versus Elon Musk, and
my God.
start talking about billionaires and AI and technology and the 2024 election. Can I throw that keyword in there? Will that give me like views?
No.
Okay. Anyways, the only last thing I'll bring up, and I know we weren't doing a proper Singapore recap. It's a little all over the place this episode, but I know we're not doing a proper recap, but I will mention our predictions briefly before we wrap up here.
Oh my!
Before Singapore, I predicted 3 things. The first one would be that Sergio Perez would finish ahead of Max Verstappen. My bad. That did not happen. I also because I was putting a lot of money on Red Bull struggling in Singapore like they did last year because they didn't look very good in practice anyways, and I was like, maybe something will go just bad for Max and Sergio will pick up the scraps. Who knows? But no, that did not happen. I was also writing off Azerbaijan a little bit, I think, because he was at a high before he crashed. So whatever.
100%.
I digress. My bad. However, I also predicted that Haas would score points in Singapore, and that did happen. Haas did score points in Singapore. And then my last prediction was that Lando Norris would win the race. And that was before the qualifying. So I think that's an important thing to know. I didn't just predict that after he got pole. I predicted it after practice too. Yes, they look strong, but let's be honest. McLaren's McLaren, so that was not a give me. But I did have confidence that Lando had to lock in this weekend, and he did. Even though it would have been nicer if Max was not P2 for the championship for him. But it's okay. Lando Norris wins. So I went 2 for 3 on my predictions. And we'll ignore the really bad one.
Going to the really bad one. Going to the really bad ones. I absolutely wrecked it this time. Like, I went 0 for 0. No, I went. Well, all of them are wrong. My first prediction was that Ferrari would fuck up a pit stop, which didn't happen. Surprisingly, I feel like they're kind of due. I feel like sometimes Ferrari, it's like, they do well and then they kind of go back to the roots. And I feel like they haven't really messed up heavily in the past few races.
So they were due. They were overdue.
They're definitely overdue. We'll see in the next few races. There's definitely going to be a hiccup. Next one, also from the Azerbaijan High. I said that both Williams will be in the points. Granted, Albon did DNF. Colapinto drove an amazing race. Colapinto's overtake into turn 1. Chef's kiss. So good. Albon complained even though he wasn't even involved. And my last prediction was that the podium would feature 2 McLarens and 1 Ferrari. Sadly, It was 2 McLarens and 1 Red Bull. So this man over here with his little cap, he's the leader
My little cap.
of the predictions. It's kind of stupid. I'm
Okay.
also wearing a cap. Doesn't even make sense.
We both have little caps on then. God, disrespectful. All right. Well, next week we will probably earlier in the week, hopefully. It is an off week again before Austin in a few weeks. But sorry, there's a bug in my face. It is a few off weeks before Austin. So next week we'll probably just see if there's any good news to talk about, and another little short episode, at least get some content out there. Thank you guys for all the support on the TikTok page recently. It's been very, very strong. But make sure you also subscribe to us, I guess, on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter and Spotify and all the streaming platforms and everything you may listen to. Instagram as well. Just so you're staying up to date on when we upload. If you see little new clips pop out, then there's a good chance there's a new episode. And obviously we want to drag attention back to the proper full-length podcast because we do put some time into this. So thank you all for listening. Everything I just said, and have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, whatever it may be for you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.